Aristotle once wrote, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. As chairman, I am here to present the annual town report on behalf of the Board of Selectmen and to outline how, despite the enormous fiscal and day-to-day challenges, we have continued to achieve excellence this past year. As you will hear in this report, our achievements are solely due to the people who have come together to serve our community as paid staff and as volunteers. These creative, hardworking people are not just here at Town Hall, but within the DPW, police, fire, the library, schools, and boards, committees, and commissions. So let's start with the public safety. For public safety in 2010 and the start of this year, sadly both fire and police departments have seen an increase in calls for service and an increase in the complexity and severity of the call. To help address this, in December of 2010, the fire department implemented an ambulance software that allows the town to remain in compliance with the mandated state EMS reporting regulations and also allows them to electronically store reports and data that in the past was all paper copy. Through a grant, Reading was able to purchase much-needed 12-lead defibrillator monitors and replace all our semi-automatic defibrillators. The addition of the new defibrillator monitors has allowed the fire department to complete their expansion of our advanced life support program to all our first-line fire apparatus. Reading has strengthened our ability to provide emergency shelters to our residents in the event of a disaster. Through a grant from the Northeast Homeland Security Council, we purchased emergency supplies that will improve the speed and efficiency in which we can move supplies to our shelters. Additionally, we have had our shelters surveyed by a member of the Red Cross, so we are now able to use Red Cross staff to assist in the event we need to open our shelters. Speaking of shelters, let's move over to one of our original shelters, the library. Not everyone has moved to the Kindle or reading on their iPads. The Reading Public Library continues to grow as circulations for the year has topped over 500,000 for the first time ever. Now, this achievement really isn't all that surprising when you realize the caliber of staff working here. Last year, 2 of the library staff were recognized for their achievements. Children's Division Head Corinne Fisher was inducted into the Massachusetts Library Association Hall of Fame for her outstanding leadership in children's services in Massachusetts and New England. Allison Sloan was named Paralibrarian of the Year by Library Journal, a prestigious national professional magazine, for her advocacy for recognition of paralibrarians throughout the profession. Later in the Warrant article, we will be talking about how the library hopes to finally turn a school building structure into a library structure and expand with a new wing. Speaking of construction, let's take a look at our economic development. 2010 was a very productive year with many achievements in the Community Services Department. Major accomplishments for the year included rewriting the sign bylaw, which was adopted by town meeting, and sign compliance, economic development, and revisions to the non-conforming section of the zoning bylaws. By town meeting adopting the new sign bylaw, it alleviated a large financial burden for many businesses by bringing their signs into compliance. The changes to the zoning bylaw also increase flexibility by allowing businesses to promote themselves and events through A-frame signs in the downtown area through an annual license process. In 2010, we saw revitalization of stalled projects on prominent vacant properties, such as the 2 40R smart growth districts of the Atlantic site with Oak Tree and the former Pearson property with Pulte Homes. The actions we have taken around smart growth and building a plan in achieving our mandated 10% low-income housing has been recognized by the state and has already deterred one unwanted 40B project, a feat most communities have not been able to achieve. Since much of our attention has been on the downtown and Walker's Brook area for economic development, it is nice to see South Main Street picking up as well. I already mentioned Pulte Homes, which will bring in 424 housing units to the Pearson property, but the former Tambone property will soon be the new site for Calaresso's farm stand. This will be a nice addition to Sam's Bistro across the street, which also opened last year. Additionally, the long vacant sites of Bear Rock Cafe and Linens and Things are now the thriving OEA's restaurant and newly opened Golf Town. One of the main ways to get above our 2.5% tax revenue cap is new growth. We continue to look at ways to simplify and streamline our processes to move businesses from planning to revenue producing as quickly as possible. And the zoning bylaws pertaining to nonconformities has been a major source of confusion for both applicant and staff. The revision has now been clarified and made easier to follow for all. This is a critical aspect of zoning that can now be administered with ease, which is important to drive new growth. Another area of great success was in the DPW, not because of their handling of an overwhelming winter, but in all areas of the department. The new rubbish and recycling program made Reading a greener community. Recycling has doubled since the onset of the new program, saving thousands of dollars in disposal fees, as well as offering residents many additional services at a reduced cost. In October of 2010, Phase 1 of the renovations for Memorial Park were completed. This phase, the largest part of the planned project, was truly a community effort. The park project was financed by a generous donation from Nelson and Rita Burbank and other gifts, such as 37 trees donated by Reading Cooperative Bank and 8 benches from various Reading organizations and families, including the Reading Ice Authority, Burbank YMCA, and Friends of Reading Tennis. This special project saw the culmination and collaboration of work from the Department of Public Works Engineering, Water and Sewer, Highway, Parks and Forestry, and Recreation divisions, all playing a significant role in converting our master plan into a reality. The newly renovated Memorial Park is now open to the public to enjoy all the amenities, including basketball, tennis, skating, walking, and other fitness opportunities. The public can also enjoy physical activities at the newly renovated playgrounds at Killam and Washington Park as well. Another great combined success for Community Services and DPW is the Matera Cabin, which will be having its grand opening this weekend, April 30th. Matera has been a long renovation project with help from the Scouts, Trails Committee, donations from REI and Jordan's Furniture, and DiNapoli Painting, and countless other contributors. But what I am most impressed with is all the renovation work, all new plumbing, electrical, and flooring was done by kids from the vocational school. I hope you will stop by this Saturday morning to see it. Oh, and you feel like making a donation while you're there, feel free to do so. Without question, these are great accomplishments, ones that were not made without many challenges, and we have even greater ones ahead. We must continue to provide excellent customer service despite the potential major changes to community services as part of budget cutbacks proposed under the fiscal 2012 budget. We need to work through efforts to streamline and reduce regulatory requirements while preserving the goals of the regulatory reviews and our overall master plan. In the coming year, there will be an increased federal focus on stormwater requirements. The Federal 2 program requires an enormous amount of time of an already thin staff to complete outfall inspections, sampling, expand public participation programs, and develop detailed mapping of the town's entire drainage infrastructure. This past year in the DPW, we saw an enormous high turnover of personnel, and we need to find better ways to capture the history and knowledge that so often goes unrecorded as employees leave or retire. Succession planning continues to be the focus as we enter the fiscal 2012. As in every year, but at times when finances are the most constrained and overwhelming snow totals, we are challenged with funding our much-needed capital expenditures. Our buildings, vehicles, and public works projects continue to compete for limited resources. Due to budget reductions in the past and our current budget, We eliminated funding for training in most departments. One of these reductions was the training officer for the fire department. This program was in place for several years and was highly successful in improving consistency and the knowledge base within the fire department. So due to the fiscal situation, we are concerned reductions in the future fiscal years will negatively impact our ability to provide the same levels of service to the community we are providing currently. There is no single silver bullet to address these challenges, but many can be found in the call to the nation made 50 years ago in the inauguration speech by Massachusetts' own.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. My fellow citizens of the world, ask not what America will do for you, but what together we can do for the freedom of man.
This is a call that Reading has answered ever since then. Last year alone, the board filled 237 volunteer positions on 44 standing town boards, committees, and commissions, not including town meeting, which contributed to over 7,000 volunteer hours per year, or 3.6 person years. Each board, committee, or commission meets on average 30 hours per year. Many meet much more. Each volunteer dedicates the equivalent of almost a week of full-time work per year. Keep in mind that is 44 standing boards and committees. In addition, the town has had several ad hoc groups dealing with activities such as the municipal buildings, the town fair, and public site naming rights. Add to this the tremendous number of volunteers on behalf of our schools, recreation programs, and cultural offerings. This is truly a remarkable story. I would love to name all our volunteers, but that just isn't possible in the time we have. But there is one individual I would like to mention, and that is town meeting member and the North Reading Chamber's Citizen of the Year, Sheila Clark. Sheila has been an incredible contributor on the Economic Development Committee, and as chair of the Fall Street Fair has made it a tremendous community event that is now recognized around the state. The economy will continue to be our main concern, with energy and gas prices rising, the unknown in healthcare, and more need to help our neighbors, young and old. We know what additional things we need to do as a community. We are planning for that. Together, our local elected officials, our several departments, our volunteers, our legislative leaders on a state and national level can and will accomplish more to benefit this entire community. We have and will achieve excellence, as it is habit for us now. We know we can achieve what seems to be the impossible. We have some of the best leadership around to guide us through these challenges. We have the financial thought leadership in Bob LeLacheur, Gail Lapointe, Mary DeLye, and FinCom, and we are stronger because of the actions taken by you, town meeting. We live in a community where young and old can work together and help each other build a stronger community. We know what we can do as a community. We have shown that, and it is amazing. Reading is a great town and truly a community of excellence.
The fact that it's so small that everybody, you know people that you see sometimes, even if you don't know them, you all feel like you know each other because it's so brought together by our small community.
And I really like the town. I've been in the town since 1994, which is 17 years. I have two older children that graduated Reading High School and did great, went off to some good colleges.
I like the hot soup at the senior center at lunch, and it has been a great experience for me. I'm retired and I do some volunteer work, especially in medical escorts and shopping for people. It's just great to see how much Reading does on behalf of its senior citizens.
Everyone just helps each other out, and it's easy to make friends, and everyone's nice. And if you see someone that needs help, people just go and help them.
We just love the town. Convenient to things if you want to get into Boston, if you want to get onto 93, And just generally, the people that live here, we've enjoyed it very much. And we plan to stay here.
The athletic facilities.
I like the friendliness that I find. Walking just over in the shops, you meet people on the street you don't know, but they always say hello.
We like the turf fields and the new high school that they just built.
I like that it feels like a community and it's really quiet and peaceful.
I like volunteers. The residents are stepping up and filling up the position the town needs them to.
The food!
Love the basketball courts in Reading. Play almost every day.
I like the open community and how everyone is really nice. There's no crime and the stores are very accessible.
I love the opportunity we have to come here to the senior center. We have so many laughs. I never laughed so hard in my life. And we see wonderful entertainment and we're well taken care of.
Yeah, Reading's a very safe neighborhood for kids of all ages, you know, to come play at the courts.
In Reading, I love how there's so many sports teams and you can make so many new friends.
I love that you have groups that will always step up to do projects that are so worthwhile, like this viewing deck at Bear Meadows.
It's a good place to bring the dogs, and it's one of few places that you can actually go and let them have a good run.
I love Reading's athletics.
The reason what I like about Reading is these concrete pillars that were put up. They cost about $250 a piece, but they are super, let me tell you. I walked into one and I hit my knee. Accidentally, I thought it was one of those things you press to change the light. And actually, it wasn't, you know? And then, finally the light changed. And I crossed the street again and I hit another one. My God, there were pillars everywhere.
As I think to myself, what a wonderful